everyone, we are the Group 9 and we will tackle about the cell transport and homeostasis. So are you familiar with the word homeostasis? Or in another term, it is stability. So homeostasis refers to the balance or equilibrium within the cell or a body. It is an organism's ability to keep a constant internal environment. So keeping a constant internal environment requires a constant adjustment as the conditions changes inside and outside the cell. Abiotic factors like temperature and pH must be kept at the right levels of to support the life process. So individual cells must maintain homeostasis. This includes keeping the right amount of salt, water, sugars, and other molecules in the cell. So let's proceed to the cell transport. So it is the movement of substances across the cell membrane, either into or out of the cell. So the small molecules like oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water can pass through the cell membrane freely. So if a molecule is big, it won't make it through the cell membrane on its own. So the molecules need the assistance of protein. So these proteins act like a doorway that larger molecules can go through. The protein channel in the diagram is one example of a protein that enables larger molecules to move into or out of the cell. So this diagram shows the protein channel and the cell transport. Now, the movement of molecules from a high to a low concentration is called diffusion, and it requires no energy. If the molecules must use a protein doorway to diffuse through the cell membrane, it is called facilitated diffusion. So facilitated diffusion does not require energy. Diffusion can help cells maintain homeostasis. Because not all molecules can move through the cell membrane on their own, we say that the cell membrane is selectively permeable or semi-permeable. This gives the cell some control over which molecules can move through inside and outside of the cell. In this way, the cell membranes help maintain the homeostasis within the cell to make an organism stay alive and healthy.
The osmotic pressure is the main cause of support in many plants. When a plant cell is in hypotonic environment, the osmotic entry of water raises the turgor pressure exerted against the cell wall until the pressure prevents more water from coming into the cell. At this point, the plant is deturgid. Water moves into and out of the cells by osmosis. If a cell is in a hypertonic solution, the solution has a lower water concentration than the cell cytosol, and water moves out of the cell until both solutions are isotonic. Cells placed in a hypotonic solution will take in water across their membrane until both the external solution and the cytosol are isotonic. The plasma membrane pulls away from the cell wall as it shrivels, a process called plasmolysis. Osmotic pressure: when water moves into a cell by osmosis, osmotic pressure may build up inside the cell. If a cell has a cell wall, the wall helps maintain the cell's water balance.
Now, let's go to controlling osmosis. Organisms that live in a hypotonic environment, such as fresh waters, need a way to prevent their cells from taking in too much water by osmosis. Freshwater and saltwater fish have the ability to adjust the osmotic pressure in the water around them. This figure explains what happened to a freshwater fish when we will put it on the saltwater fish. Freshwater fish regulate the amount of water going in and out of their bodies through several mechanisms like drinking less water and producing dilute urine. If freshwater fish are put in salt water, they lose water from their bodies due to the hypertonic environment. Their cells shrivel and die. Now let's proceed to active transport. Active transport is a process that moves molecules from a low concentration to a high concentration. This process requires a protein to move the molecules, and it also requires energy. Active transport is important in helping cells maintain the right and concentration of molecules even when the concentration of molecules outside the cell is changing.